Imagine winning an Olympic medal and then having it taken away from you. Well, that's exactly what happened to Canadian Olympic race walker Evan Dunfee in Rio. Evan is the brother of Rogers TV's Adam Dunfee, and he is in town visiting, so we just had to get him on Durham. Now, thanks for taking time out of a very packed visit to spend some time with us.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here.
What's it like having that medal taken away from you? I guess first, let's go through, for those who don't know what happened. What happened? You got bumped.
Yeah. So 50K race walk. Just over 3.5 hours of racing. Coming up to, I'd led the race for part of it. I'd kind of got carried away. I was very inexperienced racing these the older guys that have been there, done that, and I got carried away. Took off the front early on. They caught me, overtook me. I was sitting in 4th place, and at 45K, I was like, no, put your head down, go after it. And then I kicked down to try to catch the 3rd place athlete, and caught up to him at 49K. So we're 1K from the finish line, and we're both at our wits' end with exhaustion, and we got too close to one another, got tangled up. Mentally, my legs just took that as a sign to stop working, and I knees buckled and couldn't regain my rhythm after that, and went on to finish 4th. He finished 3rd. After the race, he was disqualified for the infraction. The Japanese appealed that decision, and so there was a period of about 5 hours where 4 or 5 hours.
You thought you were a bronze medalist.
Well, yeah.
You were a bronze medalist.
I was a bronze medalist. I didn't know exactly how I thought yet.
Yeah.
I was always a little bit uneasy with what was happening, especially because I wasn't making these decisions. I was in the medical tent after the race, getting medical treatment. 3.5 hours, 3 hours, 40 minutes of racing in the heat. It just absolutely destroyed me. So I was basically just delegating decisions to other people, saying that I'm not in a position where I can make decisions.
So then who went after the officials to see if
we had most of the Team Canada track and field coaching staff was at the race. There wasn't anything else on that morning, so we had a lot of staff at the race course that were dealing with that. Our medical people were taking care of me in the medical room. We had our team managers and our team coaches running around trying to figure out things on the appeal side. So it was a big team effort, and I appreciate them sort of being my proxy in that situation, in that regard. But it was really once I got back to the village and I was able to sit down, get some food in me, regain color in my face, and watch the video and decide, okay, this is my decision. What do I think happened? And that's when I decided that it wasn't appeal worthy. It wasn't enough to take the medal away from Hiroki, the Japanese athlete.
Because they had then appealed.
Yes.
They
the
decided
Japanese had appealed.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, the reason it took so long, the reason I was the medalist for those 4 hours, because normally those appeals would be dealt with right at the race course. But there was...
You're looking awfully happy there, might I add.
That's a couple days later,
and that's the guy.
That's the guy, yeah.
That's the guy.
Hiroki Arai. So we're great friends now. Language barrier. I don't speak very much Japanese, but he speaks much more English than I do Japanese. We are able to communicate a little bit, but Facebook friends, follow each other on Instagram, that sort of thing. Keep in touch with what each other's up to. Like, I think that's the cool thing about sport, is you make these friendships from all around the world. You
showed a great deal of sportsmanship in your decision not to appeal. What kind of reaction did you have from other athletes and other people?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing for me was very shocking that people cared. I was shocked that anyone watched the race, and of course, because
we were all watching back here, Evan.
That's what I then found out later that evening, because I'm in that little bubble, so I don't know what's happening back home. I had no social media access for that whole day, so I had no idea how things had transpired, that the race had ended up on TV and that people were watching back home. So I thought, family and friends were watching it online. They're gonna, they'll be happy, but that was the extent of it, I thought. And I got a phone call from our team manager after I decided not to appeal the decision, saying, people want to hear from you, like, you need to say something. And that's when I drafted a little statement, ran upstairs, spent about 5 minutes, wrote this little statement, got my teammate to spell check it. Still didn't understand the gravity of the situation, and then sent that off, and then that's when I really realized how big this was.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. We're going to take a quick break. More with Evan Dunfee after the break. And we are back with Evan Dunfee, Olympic race walker. When we went to break, we were at the point where you were about to issue your statement as to why you decided not to appeal. What was going on in the brain? What did you tell people?
Yeah, the big thing in my mind was I going to be able to be comfortable with this decision 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, for the rest of my life. And it was pretty clear, that initial gut reaction you have. So when the first thing I thought of the first thing that happened when I found out that I'd been upgraded to third, win an Olympic medal, that should be the pinnacle of the thing I've dreamed of since I was 10 years old. And it didn't have that jubilation. It was kind of like okay, what's going on here type of feeling. And I think when I went back to make the decision later, that really resonated with me, and kept thinking back to that initial thought of, okay, if I wasn't over the moon happy then, does this really feel right? And it was after that it became a pretty easy decision not to, because it wasn't a matter of gaining a medal, it was taking a medal away from somebody else as well,
right.
Which was I didn't feel comfortable doing.
Now, when you finally spoke with Japan's Haruki Arai, what did you say to each other?
Yeah, so we first got to speak in the doping control room almost immediately after the race, about half an hour after the race, which is a really nice situation because there's no media in there. It's just athletes and coaches in that room, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very intimate place to be able to have this conversation. So when we had a translator with him as well, so it was really nice that we actually got to speak at length to one another without just using hand gestures and smiles.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said, and this was a situation where at this point he had been disqualified, I was in third place,
right.
And the first thing he said to me was that he was sorry. So that really showed me that he didn't do this with intent or malice, or it was just both, two guys absolutely exhausted, trying to walk in a straight line, really.
Right. Yeah. If there's one lesson you took away from this whole experience, what is it?
I think it's definitely been that, being able to look back and see what sport has given me and sport has turned me into. I think I've, the person that people praise that made those decisions not to appeal the decision is a person that was crafted through sport, through amazing coaches growing up and the life lessons that you get to learn. I mean, sport's a great microcosm for the rest of life, where you're in a safe environment, but you're forced to learn all these things like determination, dedication, teamwork, sportsmanship, all these things that you need to be a successful human in the rest of life. Sport provides an opportunity to learn those things at an early age. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken out of this, is getting to have that one moment where I can look back and say, this is the person that sport has turned me into or fostered.
Are we going to see you in Tokyo?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm still relatively young for my event. Endurance events like the marathon or 50K race walk, typically you don't see guys peaking until they're in their 30s. So at least Tokyo, maybe even one more after that.
And we are training now. Are we back at training?
Slowly getting back in the groove. Needed a very long mental break after Rio, so I'm coming back up now and getting back into training.
And will you be up against Haruki Arai again?
Should be. There's no
That'll
reason for him to stop, and especially in Japan, on his home turf, I think he's really excited to try to defend his medal position as well. So it'll create a great storyline for the race. And
how hard are you training? What is training like for the speed walking?
Yeah, so in my heaviest training, I'll be doing upwards of 200 kilometers a week. That usually includes 2 marathons a week, or not quite marathons, either 40 or 45K training sessions. So yeah, just a lot of miles, a lot of time on the feet, in the gym a couple times a week, lifting weights as well, and just healthy diet, sleeping right, and all that stuff that goes into being an athlete.
Well, Evan Dunfee, you have not only all of Durham here, but all of Canada looking for great things from you. Come back, will you, once you've got that gold medal around your neck?
Absolutely.
Okay, Evan Dunfee, thank you. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.